Welcome back to American Christian or Christian American. Welcome if you're new to the channel. If you are new to the channel, I would encourage you to go back to the beginning, find episode 1, and start from there. Even if you are watching some of the present ones, it will give you context, because a lot of what I'm talking about, even though it could stand on its own to a point, will give more context of what I've talked about from the beginning. And also, if you would hit that subscribe button, you get my videos faster, and hit that like button if you could, because that will help the algorithm get out there so more people can see the videos. This is a journey we're on, and I hope that you'll continue to take that journey with me. Now, today we're going to talk about how white supremacy prepares itself to battle against those who they consider to be inferior or to be un-American or not to fit in. So I'm going to show a video here first, and then we're going to talk about this. All right? So let's get to that video.
Large hate group that our investigation discovered is expanding its presence right here in Tennessee. Good evening to you. I'm Carrie Sharp. That group, the so-called Patriot Front, is probably best known for plastering our communities with their hate-filled posters and graffiti. Now our investigation has uncovered new videos that reveal the group is also preparing for battle. Chief investigative reporter Phil Williams is continuing his Hate Comes to Main Street investigation. Phil, you have been working on this story for more than 3 months.
That's right. And during that time, we gathered never-before-seen video that shows what the Patriot Front is really up to. And as you're about to see, that includes training men to fight right here in the volunteer state.
Right now, they got an enemy. If they get rid of their enemies, they're going to have to find a new one.
Our investigation began last fall as anti-fascist activists protested an annual white supremacist gathering inside the lodge at Montgomery Bell State Park, about 40 miles west of Nashville. It was an investigation that would eventually lead us across the state to this large compound being built by a hate group right here in Tennessee. A compound where members train for battles that sometimes play out on the streets of America.
These are smart, observant, thoughtful Americans who see that our country is going in the wrong direction and has been going in the wrong direction for decades.
Which may be why Jerry Taylor, the founder of the American Renaissance Conference, insisted that we not take video of any faces while we were inside the conference.
How about the neo-Nazis? I don't even know a neo-Nazi.
That is absolutely false. Jerry Taylor lied to you.
Jeff Tischhauser tracks hate for the Southern Poverty Law Center, and he knows a lot about the men we identified from outside the conference using facial recognition software. Men like Thomas Rousseau.
Nationalism is natural. Patriotism is inevitable.
Rousseau, seen here during a demonstration in Nashville last summer, heads the Patriot Front, one of the largest organized hate groups in the country. Known for their flash mob protests that suddenly spring out of the backs of rental trucks, members wear white gaiters to hide their faces. Their flag-waving marches are designed to present an image that also hides the hate behind their cause.
When you get within their private spaces online, members of Patriot Front worship Hitler, right? They deny the Holocaust. They use a tremendous amount of racial slurs between each other.
They're very clever, though. They wrap themselves in patriotism. Patriot Front.
So that's a way for Patriot Front to appeal to the larger conservative movement.
We are Americans. We are not white Americans, because there are no other kind of Americans than those who are white and from Europe.
At age 26, Thomas Rousseau is polished in his racism.
Life, liberty, victory!
But leaked videos from inside Patriot Front reveal that beneath that polished veneer
Good take right there. See, high. Let's go.
are old-fashioned neo-Nazis.
These are hardened white supremacists who want to see a white ethno-state created somewhere in the United States.
You are not welcome here.
Outside the American Renaissance Conference, we had also spotted these two men. Our search quickly came back with matches. Robert Benjamin Whitted of Texas and Garrett Joseph Garland of Illinois. Both were among 31 Patriot Front members arrested 3 years ago, accused of plotting to create a riot at an Idaho Pride celebration. Ryan Hunter was one of the prosecutors.
They wanted to basically promote a fight. They wanted to get people to respond, make them angry, make them attack them. And, their history is that they then try to play that they're the victims.
Hey, announce. You can announce. Announce.
This never-before-seen police video shows what happened when Coeur d'Alene, Idaho police intercepted 2 Patriot Front U-Hauls on their way to that Pride event. In the video, we see the men from that balcony, Robert Whitted and Garrett Garland, as they're being processed by police.
It does detail our peaceful intentions.
While Thomas Rousseau insisted their intentions were peaceful, police discovered what a witness called a small army prepared for war, including being equipped with riot shields. Shields that this leaked video shows Patriot Front prepares for use in battle.
Those shields can be used offensively, and in fact, in riot training, they're intended to push and to move people out of the way or to certain areas. And we actually got testimony on cross-examination that confirmed that, yes, that's how they had been trained to use those.
And when police unmasked the Patriot Front members, they found their caps secured to their heads by chin straps, and the caps were no ordinary headgear. Inside, they found hardened plastic designed to protect their heads in battle. They also discovered tactical radios for communicating over long distances, first aid kits to treat the injured. One even carried a smoke grenade.
You don't come to a boxing match with gloves on and dressed to fight if you don't intend to fight. And that was the circumstance we faced with this group. Is they were ready to fight. They were prepared to fight. They had trained to fight.
And the group's ops plan indicated the Patriot Front Army would line up on the outskirts of the park and proceed inwards until barriers to approach were met. There they planned to create what they called a confrontational dynamic.
And during the testimony that we were able to elicit from them on cross-examination, they confirmed that people really they didn't consider those to be barriers that they would stop for.
So you're saying if they encountered people at the Pride Fest, they were just going to plow through them?
That was effectively what they said at trial.
Which brings us back to Montgomery Valley State Park and another man we identified from the balcony.
So Ian Michael Elliott is a longtime member of white power groups, including Patriot Front. Within Patriot Front, he's one of their lead recruiters.
Ian Michael Elliott, we discovered, is one of the people behind this 122-acre Patriot Front compound in Tellico Plains, Tennessee, located between Chattanooga and Knoxville. When we flew over in Sky 5, it appeared to be very much still under construction.
It appears that they're using this place to network and strategize. They're inviting, white supremacists from across the country into this compound to network and strategize.
This photo obtained by News Channel 5 Investigates shows Elliott with Rousseau at that East Tennessee compound, hosting another white supremacist group from Texas. And this video posted online shows Elliott in a studio adored with neo-Nazi symbolism, training men for bare-knuckled battle that often leaves these Patriot Front warriors bruised and bloodied.
Patriot Front will claim that they are nonviolent. But they're training in mixed martial arts. They're using their training in mixed martial arts to escalate confrontations and to hurt people.
Which is exactly what happened to a musician who tried to confront the group in Boston in 2022. A federal judge recently awarded the victim $2.7 million in damages, although it's not clear he'll ever collect. Police video shows that when a Patriot Front U-Haul was stopped shortly after that incident, one of the people present was Garrett Garland. He's the one on the right at the American Renaissance Conference back in the fall.
This isn't your, granddad's KKK. This isn't the old school white supremacists. These guys are smart. I'll give them that little bit of credit. Is they're smart in how they approach it.
Ryan Hunter says he believes it's critical that Americans see beyond the images that Patriot Front would like to project, to see that what they represent is neither good nor American.
And it's, incumbent upon all of us that see it for what it is to combat it every chance that we get and tell what really this group is about and what their message is all about. And so that's probably my biggest takeaway from this.
See, hi, let's go.
And in addition to their marches, Patriot Front members have been implicated in defacing murals celebrating the achievements of notable African Americans. But because this is usually done under the cover of darkness, police aren't always able to make arrests, and that's where the public can help. If you see, these people out, vandalizing property, for example, get a tag number and call police. People can do something.
Okay, so we've seen that video. I'm going to use an analogy for a minute. I don't know if all of you have seen the program called Hoarders, or if you know what a hoarder is. A hoarder tends to be a person who has an uncontrollable urge to collect things, to not want to let them go. And hoarders vary in differences. Some of them are fairly clean hoarders, meaning they don't collect garbage or anything like that, but they collect trinkets, different things that give them meaning. But they don't know when to stop. They keep collecting things, and they keep having to develop more space for them. But other hoarders collect everything, including garbage. They don't throw garbage away. They collect all kinds of things, and the house becomes so filthy, some of them to a point where you can find urine and feces all over the place. Well, really, this country, I want you to look at the idea, that's exactly what we're doing here, is trying to clean a hoarder's house. What do I mean by that? I mean that we're peeling away layers upon layers upon layers of history. We're talking about racism that has stunk up the place, that has hidden what the foundations are, what the beauty of some objects might be. So some of the things that are collected in a hoarder's house might be beautiful, might be worth something, or they might have been ruined by the hoard. Think about it this way. There is so much racism in this country. It's infiltrated every part of the existence of this country. It started right from the beginning. The house, say a clean house, was before Europeans stepped foot here. You had the Native Americans living in harmony with nature. whether or not believe that Christianity is what they were supposed to have, the people who claimed to be Christians and brought Christianity here certainly did not represent Christ. Perhaps it would have been different if they taught Native Americans Christianity, but they didn't treat them as less than human. They used Christianity, they defamed God, actually, by the way they used Christianity to hurt, kill, destroy people. And we have had a constant layer. And these people are so involved with hate and power and control, they don't give in. They don't submit. This group that was talked about in the video is just one of many, many different hate groups in this country. They're preparing for battle. They're preparing for war. You see, this is not new to human beings either. Human beings, even though the original people who were black people, not white people, they had sin, they fought, they did battle, but they were still a creation. There was a lot of good things that was created throughout time. But mankind in general fell away from God. And when we fall away from God as human beings, what do? We seek power. See, we don't have God's power. The need for us to feel justified as that we are worth something. But we twist it around in a way that I have to demean somebody else in order to feel worthwhile. And so that's been the history of mankind. As we divided up by languages, God divided us up at the Tower of Babel because we were supposed to focus on God, not upon our own egos. The only way back to God was to come together through God. But mankind chose to go off in different directions and prove that one group of people was better than another group of people by conquering them, by taking over. That has been throughout man's history. But it has come to a really, with white supremacy, has taken things over and beyond, where we have dehumanized and degraded other people. We have caused more wars and division. We have colonized and destroyed people's lives. We have developed nuclear warfare. We need to understand how to come together. But we can't do that unless we understand this country. This country was established on racism. This country was established, as the man said in the video, that we're not white Americans. There is no other thing than an American who is white. So to them, nobody else in the country who's not white is an American. They are the only ones that have the right to this country. They are the only ones that have the rights to exist. They would sooner wipe everybody out, get rid of them some way or some form, in order to be America with great power, military power, control, and they would be the only true Americans. But in fact, the only true Americans really are the Native Americans who were here first. We, as white people who look like me, although I'm not white, I've said it over and over again, this is white. I am brown skin, light brown skin. I do come from European descent. But there is no such thing as a white person. I am light brown, lighter when it's not summer, but I'm still light brown. So human beings go from light brown to very dark brown. They go from dark brown hair to lighter variations of hair to even blonde. They go from dark brown eyes to lighter brown eyes to greens and blues and otherwise. But we're all part of the same human race. But white supremacy says no. We are all different races, and the white race is more superior, which is a complete fallacy. But these people have based their existence on being white, and they're dangerous. They don't care about anybody else. But see, here's the problem with the media. When they point out certain groups like this, because they're extremists in the fact that they're preparing to do battle, there is an inherent problem because they put a danger to white people as well, or Caucasian people. But they ignore, for the most part, all the other white supremacy that goes on with the Ku Klux Klan, the Proud Boys, MAGA. MAGA, which is just huge. A lot of these groups are buried within MAGA. MAGA being one, make America great again. Make America great to what? America never has been great. America has been a white dominated society all along, but it was more dominated and people had less rights and they were murdering more people, enslaving people. So is that what we're going to make America great again? See, America never has been great. If America really wants to be great, America needs to get rid of white supremacy, needs to come together as human beings under God, needs to be really, truly caring about each other. White Christian nationalism or Christian nationalism is not representing God. It's representing power and control of human beings who want to be on top, who want to rule the government and claim that it's God's will, which it's not. God's will is for us to all be connected to Him, all be together. We cannot hate each other and please God. We cannot demean each other and please God. We cannot beat on each other and please God. We cannot murder each other and please God. Only way we can please God is submitting to Him and then loving each other, going out of our way to care about each other. But this world doesn't change. But now we talked about the fact that this group, the white supremacy group, and we've talked about the KKK, and we've talked about the Proud Boys, and we talked about MAGA. Well, do they make up half the nation? Probably not. Do they make up half of white people? Maybe not, but they make up a lot. But really, where is the biggest problem, really? Well, the way I see it, the biggest problem are the people who just don't want to talk about it. The white people who are living comfortably, and they don't care enough about other people to understand other people. To them, it doesn't exist. And because it doesn't exist, it just goes on. They vote and do things under false pretenses, under false notions and ideas, where the little trinkets are held up in front of them, and they have no clue what's going on. They hate people who don't look like them, or even if they don't hate them, they don't care about them. And so they're not going to make an effort to them. So when something big really happens, like George Floyd, you might get someone come out and say, oh, well, that's wrong. They wouldn't go to that extreme, and they can't explain it away. But to them, it is something out of the ordinary. When if you're really in touch with the situation in this country, it's not out of the ordinary. It's just one of many, many instances that go on and on and on and on. If I'm talking to a person right now, if you're listening to me, and you're one of those people who really doesn't want to hear about it, you just, I go to shopping, I've got to work, I do this, I don't have time for all this stuff. Let me tell you something. You are a racist. I'm a racist? Yes, you're a racist. And what do I mean by that? You may not go out and actually hurt somebody. You may not go out and call somebody a name. You may not even talk down to somebody. But because you don't care, you allow the system of racism to continue. And let's be frank, I am a Caucasian man, okay, 60 years old, and I was born into this country in a white racist society, and I was born a racist. What do I mean by that? Does that mean I was born that I hated people? No. I was born into a system of racism in this country that exists throughout this country. Everything about it is a racist system. Now, I was destined to be a white racist man, even if I didn't go out and hit people, hurt people, demean people, or because the country was indoctrinating me to be a racist person, to lie about history, live in a fantasy world. And every single white person in this country is programmed in the same way. Now, that got in the way. One, I had a mother who taught me that all people were equal, that taught me that racism was wrong. She may not have taught me everything that I know today. A lot she didn't teach me, but she taught me some basic principles, that hatred towards people who don't look like you is wrong. So, first of all, my parent got in the way of what the nation was going to indoctrinate me with. Does that mean I wasn't indoctrinated? No, I still was indoctrinated, but she helped. She helped put in principles in me to be different. So I still thought, because of how churches have indoctrinated us, that Jesus was white, which he was not. If you want to understand more, I talk about that. Go back to my first videos. When I started to understand who the first people were, because they didn't look like me, again, go back to my first videos, I started to have my eyes open more and more. And I always knew that racism and slavery was cruel, but I didn't understand all the intricacy and just how horrific and how horrible and how actually low and depraved white supremacy has been in treating people distastefully, disgustingly horrible. But I learned. And so I changed my direction. So if you're saying I'm not a racist, yes, you are, unless you make a conscious effort to separate yourself as much as possible from a nation of indoctrination of lies, you're not going to be anything else but. So what you're doing at the very minimum is allowing these other groups to have justification. You say, well, I don't support a group of people who are militant. I don't support that. No, but you support ideas of MAGA. You support ideas of many times the GOP, which is highly influenced by MAGA, white Christian nationalists, and some Democrats as well. You support ideas that have destroyed or destroying the society in this country, have been so since the founding of this country. You see, you vote on certain issues and then allow them to do what they want to do. Let me give you a couple examples. There was an example of a town meeting. There's been a few town meetings where the constituencies of Republicans have met with them. The people, they're upset. Funny thing is, many of them voted for these people because they supported part of the agenda, like getting rid of undesirable people. Maybe there was different degrees of it. Some of them just wanted to get rid of the criminals, but some of them just wanted to get rid of non-whites. But then MAGA started attacking Medicare and Medicaid and things like that these white people wanted. So now they're upset with them. So that's the problem, because people are voting still voting with hate, but they didn't want them to touch their thing. But the other thing is, some of these, when they were so upset about it, the Republican response was the representative. This, folks, is why people, your representatives don't want to have these town halls, because of all this. Here's the whole thing. They do what they want to get elected, do whatever, tell you whatever they want to do, and they don't want you to disapprove, and they want to do what they want to do. They're not there to represent you. And understand this, they will do whatever they can to destroy African Americans and other people in this country in order to make white people more power, because more white people are affluent, but not all. They will destroy health care and Medicaid and education, make it unaffordable and everything else, in order to try to destroy the African American community, the Asian community, Native Americans, and others. But many whites will be okay. But they're willing to sacrifice the poor whites as well. Now, this is nothing new. Our leaders have known this for years. My question to you is, if you're one of those people in between, are you still going to sit there and claim that you don't have a part in this? Let's, for just a second, say that you could do this for a selfish reason. Because when they hurt the people, they're also hurting you. Unless you're one of those really affluent white people who have enough money to pay for everything. And there's a lot more white supremacists out there who don't have necessarily a lot of money. They might have more money than others, live comfortably. When it comes down to it, you can't afford it either. But this is the thing about white supremacy. They don't have enough real self-esteem of who they should be. They have to live up to some false notion of who they think they should be, or create an inferior vision, or a blown up or huge ego type of person that they're not in order to feel good about themselves. In other words, they don't really better themselves who they should be. They have to put other people down. So it's like if you live on the first floor, you've got to put people in the basement to feel that you're privileged to be in the first floor. But instead of going up to the next floor that may have more luxury on it, or the third floor, it's more luxury on it. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's the idea that instead of doing things that make us a better person, we put other people down and if they're lower than me, then I'm a better person. But you didn't really improve at all. In fact, you actually prove that you're less than what you think you are. Because you put other people down, you're really putting yourself down. When you talk about somebody else being inferior, you really have made yourself inferior because you've taken away who God wants you to be. God wants you to fit into a puzzle of all human beings. They're a collection of all differences together, making a whole. If you have a puzzle, if it's all pieces with white on it, you say, well, it's all white snow. What would be the thrill in putting a puzzle together like that? Because there's no mystery. If it was all black because you said the lights are out, it's dark in the cave, you can't see nothing. What would the joy of putting that together? The joy comes in discovery with all the different people who look different and make up a picture. Differences in us make up a whole picture. That's what we're meant to be. Until the next time on American Christian or Christian American.